Okay, so welcome to typography on February 6th. It's our third week in class, and we all got to play, oh, I was wrong with the date. It's the 1934 Underwood Junior typewriter. And here, like a type specimen chart that you guys are going to create, right? You're looking at the Underwood Junior type specimen chart of all uppercase letters, all glyphs, which shows everything you see here. All these symbols are also glyphs. The alphabet is a glyph. And you notice they show all the uppercase letters and lowercase letters. I was looking to see if there's symbols. And notice one of the things, does anybody yet understand the difference between a hyphen, an N dash, N like Nancy, and an M dash like Mary? We're going to go over those today. But this is a hyphen. We'll talk about that. So if you have an interest in this typewriter, you can read more about it. But John, wonderful John, oh, I got rid of that. I shouldn't have done that. Wonderful John found this amazing article, which I love, called Death to Typewriters. And yeah, Bud.
I just have a quick unrelated question. The Type Archive second assignment, was it due today at 1 or at 11:59?
What did it say?
Because I thought it said 11:59, but it just said that it was due 1. Oh, okay.
The quiz? Thank you. Yeah, don't forget the quizzes. I don't remind you. Is everybody good with the quizzes? Since we digressed to quizzes. Yeah, don't forget to stay up with quizzes. Anybody now we're on quizzes. Does anybody have a problem with quizzes? Everybody's good. All right. All right, so everybody look up here, no matter what you're doing on your computer. I want everybody's eyes up here. And no matter how far back you are sitting in the room. If you look here, this article is really worth a read. It's called Death to Typewriters and My Sworn Enemy, which is, you saw the videos last week about the man who was doing letterpress printing and paying attention to how tight the leading was and how beautiful the letters were and all the artistry of type, right? Okay. But when you have a typewriter, you took all this beautiful artistry of a drop cap, small caps like in VHS. Can you guys see this? Let's make it a little bigger. Is that better? When you italicize something, when you baseline shift type going down a little or moving it up a little, or do you see what this is called, the SP here? That's called a ligature, where you have two letters that sit side by side, and the type designer created a specific ligature for those pair of letters. So what happens when you cross, let's see if we can find it on the screen in front of us. What happens when you see a T and an I together? Let's see if that shows up ever. Where it has to be T first, then the I. Does anybody see that in a word? Here, you can see an FI right here. Let's make that bigger. In the word definitely. Well, here, we're calling them out right now. So this is called a drop cap, where a letter is 2 lines deep, or as many lines deep as you want. Here's a ligature. If you look at the F and the I, a ligature is where you have a pair of letters, and if they formed their shape, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you type your F here, and you put your I here, it looks kind of funky. So a ligature literally kind of creates a combination letter of the F and the I. We'll look at different ligatures around. So very elegant. And this is when you typeset type either, as we saw in the old days, letterpress type, or on our computers. And let's see what else there is they're calling out here. These are called smart quotes, right? Anybody on your computer ever seen quotes that just go straight up and down like this, like a prime quote, like for inches. This is a smart quote. Notice they kind of cradle the word. One is upside down, it looks like, and one is right side up, the quotes, and they curl around the word. Those are smart or proper quotes. This ... is not period. This ... after the word slightly is called an ellipse. That's a glyph you'll find in your font. And different hyphenations. So what happens is, the reason this article is so fun to read, I think, is the person who wrote it was like, okay, here's all the descriptions of all these beautiful characters. Now look what happens when we take it to the typewriter that made it so expedient to set type. You just type the letters instead of one letter at a time put in a box, right? So here's our typewriter, kind of like the one we had. And now we look at what happened to all that beautiful, graceful type. We no longer have an ellipse. We now have ... It's spread out. We no longer have an M dash, which is really wide. We have 2 hyphens. We no longer have around the word proper. We have straight quotes. We can't tell a smart quote or a proper quote, cradling the word. Italicized words have to become underlined so they look clunky and chunky. When you have a footnote or you cite a publication and you create a note for it in your papers, right? You have to type the same size letter here as you do in the date above, instead of making it what's called a superscript. And so what I'd love for you to do is just spend a little time comparing this article, because I think it's super great. And it's fun to look at really what occurred here. And this is called a dumb quote right there. The ligature of the F and the I. No ligature, no relationship of the F and the I like we did here. The F sits in its own space, the I sits in its own space. So this is what type designers do, is they design their typeface so you get more elegant type design. And we benefit from this on our computers. Our computers are smart. We have to work really hard to make our type look this clunky, I should say, right? We take for granted that our computers are so smart, they make our type look good. Notice here, even the space between the line, it's like when you hit the carriage return twice, you had a consistent line space in between. You couldn't adjust it. You couldn't create half spaces. So this article is right here in on our website. So what I'd like to do and lead us into this is look down here in week 3 and talk about type in terms of type basics. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. Last week, I'm going to launch InDesign. Last week, I'm jumping around a little bit, so stay with me here. Last week, I demoed InDesign for all of you, and I demoed paragraph style sheets. How many of you were new to paragraph style sheets to start with? Go high so I can tell. All right. How many of you bravely tried them? Did you? Did you use a video to help you? And was it helpful? The video was helpful. What about back there? Yeah.
They're awesome.
Were they new to you? They weren't new to you.
No, but I mean, I don't think I used them very much.
No, they're magic.
They're magic. Yeah,
They're
I really
magic.
don't think I used them for a picture.
Who else tried paragraph style sheets this past week? Nobody else? Okay. I really encourage you to learn them. They will save your life. They're more advanced. Like if you're taking the 111 class, who's in the 111 class here? Nobody? Everybody's already had it. Okay. Who never had it? You're in it. Okay, thank you. So in the 111 class, they don't start you with paragraph style sheets. I'm starting you with paragraph style sheets because I just want you to get there. It's just, it'll all come together in your head. I think it's, what's that? Say that again.
She showed us the style sheets for paragraph and character in the 111 class that I took.
Irene. Yes. And right off the bat?
Not right off the bat. No.
Later.
Yes.
Right. I'm starting you right off the bat because why not? That's my attitude.
The master pages are like, that's what we were doing master pages. And then
She gets you into it. It's appropriate timing, to tell you the truth. That's exactly great. So what I want to talk about in terms of type here is the right terminology for the type that you're going to be creating so you can talk about it properly. So how many people have read a paper newspaper? Go high. Who's never read a paper newspaper? Everybody's read one. Okay.
wait a couple years. It'll reverse.
I know. John says there won't be any more. So I think of it in terms of paper newspaper because I don't know that we think to use this terminology on our computer so much. But we do because just like that article we read right here, Death to Typewriters, we have the same thing. We have a headline. We have a subhead. We have what I call a sub-subhead. And then we have body copy. Okay? So same thing if we come back to, I have so many windows open, John, I don't even know what to do myself here. Did you open all these for me?
Yes, I did. I had very things for you to discover there.
We need to discover?
Well, I thought you did.
Okay, we might.
Yeah.
We might. Okay. I just don't know where to go from here. I'm like so overwhelmed by it. Okay. So here, when you set your type, you need to think in terms of hierarchy, in terms of organizing your thoughts. So if you guys are on your computer in the back, I really want you up here. I really do. Really want your attention. So hands off the mouse, computer done, turn your chair, that kind of thing. So think in terms of a hierarchy of delivering information. Your headline, your subhead, your body copy. That's how you create a hierarchy of organizing your information. And then if you're talking about very fundamentally basic fonts, you're talking about fonts with the tails on them, which are called serifs. Serif fonts, more traditional, like the one Gaudi designed that you saw the movie of, or sans serif, which are considered more industrial, cleaner, more contemporary fonts. No tails, clean lines. Here's some font names for you. As you describe the fonts that you're going to be using in your type specimen poster, you'll learn whether they're serif fonts or sans, like without, like the word in Spanish, without serif fonts. And type is measured in point sizes. It's measured 72 points equals 1 inch. And you measure it based on the uppercase letter, usually the uppercase letter E will determine the point size of your type. These are kind of rules of thumb we're going to go over pretty quickly. You can read all this stuff right here, which I'm kind of walking you through for more details. Might be on your quiz, but we're kind of covering the highlights. We talked about how in newspapers, traditional newspapers like paper, printed newspapers, they measure the width of a column in a term called a pica. And a pica, so if you're in InDesign, I can create a text box by clicking and dragging, right? And you see right here what the width of my text box is in inches. But if I want to make it 3 inches wide, you look right here, 6 picas equals an inch. So if I want to make this text box 3 picas wide, this one I've drawn, let me fill it with color so you can see it. If I want to make it 3 picas wide, I can go in here in InDesign, not knowing what the heck a pica is. Just somebody says, I want it to be 18 picas, you just type a P and hit return, and notice it's a 3 inch wide box. If I want it to be, who's good at math? What's 72 times 3? Thanks, Nino. He's got it. He's on it. So 20.
216.
What is it?
216.
Okay. So if right here I type 216 PT points. Oops, that's wrong. It's going to be huge, right? 216 PT, 216 points. My box should be the same. So add 72 to that. So that's 88, right? 288. So this should be 4 inches wide, right? And I hit return, and lo and behold, there it is, 4 inches wide. So the cool thing about InDesign is you don't need to know what the heck to do. Watch this. This one's my favorite. This is way advanced, but it's so much fun. If I want to get rid of an inch, I could take my 4-inch wide box, hit -1. And what's so great about this is when my brain can't calculate, like let's say my box is, that is a 1/16 of an inch larger than 3 inches in decimal points. But let's say I have to add a 3/4 of an inch to this box. I can just hit my plus sign, hit 0.75 for 3/4 of an inch, and I don't have to add, and there it is, magically the right size. I didn't learn this probably until 15 years after learning computers. It's one of those things that InDesign magically does. Did you know this, Bo?
I think so. I don't know that I used it.
Yeah.
I think you showed it to me before.
Oh, did I show it to you before? Oh, I showed it to you before. I'm so excited. What?
When would you need to be that specific?
Oh, such a great question. So often.
Really?
Yes. You wouldn't believe it. So, for example, what would be an example? When you're meeting mechanical specifications, which means when you have a specific size ad or something needs to be specifically placed, you would need to be really specific. Anybody know what a window envelope is? You get all your bills in them. You get your junk mail bills in them. It's an envelope, number 10 size envelope, business envelope, and there's a little window in it. Knowing exactly where to put the address for that window when you fold a paper in thirds, right? So we have a piece of paper, we have to fold it in thirds, and as a graphic artist, you have to put you have to know that that address is going to be right there every time you put it in an envelope. You need to be really specific with your measurements. So getting smart with your measurements in InDesign is really valuable. I'm trying to think when I would add something like 1/8 of an inch over or something like that. I just do. I surprise myself when I'm that precise. There's many other ways to do it. So for example, I can figure out where, if I highlight this Dido paragraph, this is a reference. I'm digressing, you guys. I'm sorry. This is a reference point up here, this little grid of 9 things. And I can click, and it'll tell me in my XY coordinates what my top left corner measurement location is for that column of type. And if I want it to align to 1 inch vertically, I can incrementally doing it because it's measured to the upper left corner coordinated with this here. Okay. If I want to measure it to the bottom, because I want everything to align on the bottom to the same measurement, there it shows up. As we get more sophisticated. But anyway, so now you understand picas. It measures the width of a column. It does not, interestingly, they don't, if you made a magazine ad and they said we want it to be 3 columns wide, and each column they'll tell you is, let's say, 18 picas. 3 picas, right? Or something like that. Then you would know how wide your column is. You guys already know what line spacing is measured with. Does everybody know what line spacing is called? Remember? Leading. Did you say that, Nina? Was that from you? Or Diego? Who said that? Nina. Okay. Line spacing is called leading. We'll talk in a minute about the anatomy of type. We can look at it right now. As you start to develop your type posters and you start to talk about type, we're going to start to talk about things like the apex, which I think is really only on the A, to tell you the truth, or the stroke, of a letter, or the crossbar, or the shoulder, or the terminal, or the finial. These are all terms like finials are on lamps, the arc of a stem. They talk about the bowl, which carries the most weight of the letter form. The one I really like is not actually this one. We'll get to it later. I'll show you. There's an interactive link to the anatomy of a letter, so we'll get to that later. And so, yeah, so we're on type terminology. So let me get to the anatomy of a letter here with this. Here's type anatomy. And notice that the cap height of a letter is the height. It's measured in what, you guys? You're going to say it. It was on your mouth. I could tell. Points. Those points. Okay. The stem right here is basically this big, long stem of the letter. The X height of a letter is like this. So let me make let's play on a new page here. So I just use my type tool to draw a click and drag a type box. I'm going to type X height. I'm going to type X literally. And I'm going to make my type large so you can see it, 60-point type. And so right here, what I drag that letter, let's make this type. Can you see that line? Is it too light on the screen? Does it show up enough for you guys? The blue? No? Yeah? No? No? Well, then guess what? We can change our colors. Let's do that. Let's go to general. Let's go to guides. So my guide is grid blue. Let's just make these all dark green. Let's make preview background, smart guides. We'll make that violet. Maybe that's heavier. Let's see if that changes anything. Did that change it? No. That should change here under preferences. Did it make it darker? Here, this is what I want to change. What color are you guys? Here. Didn't help much, did it? Oh well, I'll stop. Okay, so let's make this a serif font. We'll just make it Times. And we'll make it Times Roman regular. There we go. Okay, so as we move in here, where this sits right now, that's called the baseline. Where that blue line sits, that's the baseline of the letter. This is the X height. Well, let's see, did I make it uppercase or lowercase? That's a lowercase letter. That's the X height of a letter. So if you look at the anatomy here of the letter, the X height is from the top of the lowercase s to the base of it. Anything that exceeds the X height and ascends, goes up above it, is called an ascender. Anything that goes below the baseline of the letter is called a descender. Cap height here, you can see the ascender is higher than the cap height. That's just a design by the designer of the typeface. Interestingly, if you look at the letter O, you can see that it hangs a little below the baseline. Can you guys see that? And that's just aesthetics. That's just the designer said it looks prettier that way. Because if you made it sit on the line, it would look less than. So it didn't carry the weight properly. Let's see what else we got. I have so many things open, John. Let's get rid of that. What is that? I'm going to come back to that, Sean. Do I need this now?
Nope.
Because I'm overwhelmed by all my windows. Do I need this now?
Nope.
We did that. Let's come back to anatomy here. All right. The terminal right here, the ascender, we talked about the finial, we talked about the spine. That's what carries the weight of the letter. The donut hole, did we do donut holes last week? Oh, no, it was a different class I taught. So the see-through part of the letter O is called the counter. What else are we looking at? So the crossbar. So you're going to want to learn, here's a ligature of the lowercase f and L. See that letter relationship, the way it's built? They connect to one another. Learning that terminology is important for you to be able to talk about it as you talk about your typeface. Notice when you go from baseline here, hey look, to baseline here, they supersized. That measures your leading. Baseline to baseline is your leading. So if we come here to my X height, we fill this type box with placeholder type. And we notice that that is 16-point type. 60-point type, which is almost an inch tall, on 16-point leading. So they're overlapping each other. So when would you create an ad like that, using type like that? Let's think about how you could use this to your design advantage.
Create confusion, disorientation.
Beautiful. Right. Confusion, disorientation. Do you want to move to a new apartment? Are you too crowded? Right? Look at this. Do you need more space? Right? So let's zoom out. So here, if I took all this type right here, where if I take this whole line the way it would be set up on our typewriter back there, the relationship of the letters would be what's called metric kerning. Each letter holds its own little metric space. Everybody get that? If you do optical kerning, you can see that the computer will determine what optically looks best, and it will adjust your type based on letter relationships. But what if I have metric kerning and I want to type an uppercase A and an uppercase V? Let me change our leading here. There we go. Now, it looks kind of like they each have their own space. It's easy to read. It's easy to see. But when you design something like logos or critical headlines or something that matters, you might wish to take this AV here, put your cursor in between them, and go right here in the character control panel in InDesign. You can see the A is active. That's your character formatting control panel. And you can go over here to what's called kerning, and it will take care of two letters and their relationship to one another, how close they are. That's called kerning. And right here, notice naturally the default of the computer, the software, because it's in parentheses, that means it's the default, is -129. I personally want my A and my V to be better friends, so I'm going to nest them up and create a more consistent space for them, right? So Eva, I'm going to spell your name with an A. Oh, actually, let's do it like that. Okay, so I didn't kern that last A. I was going to add an E to it, but I decided to change it. So we got an Ava name, not an Eva name. And so that's one's kerned, one's not. And you kind of look and you say, well, that's just not feeling so good. So now I can take the relationship between these two letters. I can mimic this. I can go over here and say, oh, it's 270. Or I can incrementally adjust them until I feel good about it, which will probably surprisingly be 270, right? -270. Does everybody get that? That's called kerning. If you want to make an ad, like Bo was saying, to create chaos or something, in your ad you want to say, do you need more space? You might choose to use something called tracking, which is where my cursor is. Right below kerning, there's tracking. And I can make my letters much tighter where you're feeling a little cramped, right? And then you might want an apartment with more space, and you might say, oh, yes, I do. And if you look at that, that's just taking type. You know, all of you, many of you, most of you, already did type inspiration only ads this week. I noticed they were really stellar, by the way. They were beautiful. Beautiful collection. Whoever's got their cell phone dinging, will you turn it to silent, please? Is that you, Chuck? Thank you. So anyway, so again, type only ads control your type. There are so many ways to control your type. One of the things being a typographer in InDesign is you will not choose standard controls that you do in Word, like underline type, because let's take this line of type and let's take this line of type without underlining it. Because you're a typographer, you're going to learn to control things here. You would go to type. We want the paragraph panel, and we would go to I know the smart key, paragraph rules, that's what it's called. So you go to paragraph rules. A rule is the same word for line. Okay, rule means line. Rule means stroke. All those three things are kind of interchangeable. Rule, line, stroke. Don't ask me why. I do not know. Do you know? Rule, line, stroke.
A stroke, I learned a stroke was the thickness of an element of a letter. That's how I learned
Okay.
it. In sign painting.
All right. Well, here you have a stroke panel, and that would be for drawing lines. So it's in type. But anyway, so here we are. We're in the paragraph panel. We're going to use the pullout called paragraph rules, and watch what we can do. I'm going to show you a preview. We can turn on preview. We can rule below. We can turn the rule on by checking on it. And notice it touches the baseline of that paragraph, whatever that sentence is. It has a paragraph return at the end. It's considered a paragraph. And we can increase the weight of the type, the line, the stroke. And we can change the offset of it. So we can move it down. So you won't use the standard underscore up here in the character panel. You'll control it more to what you want it to look like. As a typographer, you'll start to design what aesthetically works for you. You can also take this paragraph here and the rule, and you can also determine, let's close that up. No, that's not going to move for me. Hang on. I want you to be able to see it. That's the smart key to get the same thing up, which was Command Option J. And what I can do is I can tell it to be the width, the column width of type, or the length of my text, and control it that way. Or I can make it the column width, and I can have it start only under the word space. I'm getting there. And I can right indent it to end it right under, let's say, the word space, not the question mark. So you're going to want to learn the tools in InDesign how to control these things, because then you have the power. You know how to make more elegant type than just underscore here, right? You can also here, I can take this, I can pull up my rules panel, and I can make it red. And you can't do that if you're only using this up here, okay? So you're going to want in typography, the whole reason I'm showing you this is kind of, again, a digression, but I'm showing you this because you, as a typographer in this class, will learn to control everything. And that means you got to get real familiar with InDesign, all right?
Those type metrics are designed by the typographer, and they will take into account things more than just the juxtaposition of the two letters. They'll also take into account the context of the letters around them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
That's true in more expensive fonts. In cheap fonts you get, there are no metrics. And you have to depend then on the optical printing.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about type anatomy. We've talked about how type is measured. We've talked about the width of type. Also, when you have a font, there are fonts like, let's pick our Times and see how many faces there are. So here's our Times font, and it comes in regular, italic, bold, italic. If we go, let's say, to Minion, bless you, notice that it comes in bold, condensed, italic, regular, italic, medium italic, semi-bold, so forth. When you want type to be squished, let me change our tracking here to 0. When you want type to be condensed type, I am a purist. I will almost never, here's an almost never, I will take the width of a letter right here, the width of a character. I will not reduce type and distort it by condensing it, because you've now taken the integrity of a letter form and you've just smushed it. You haven't taken into consideration its readability.
That's about to change with variable fonts.
Yes. We're not getting there yet.
No, but
Yes,
that's
it will.
something everybody should
Yes.
file away for something to look at in the future.
Okay. All right. So everybody understand that? The most, if I ever needed a condensed font, what you would do is you would pick a font. So you would instead do this. You would go select Minion Pro. You'd make it all Minion Pro regular. And here, if you want this word to be condensed, you would take the word need and you'd change it, and you'd use, we'll have to make this all bold so it matches. There, let's go to bold. And need, if you want to make it condensed, we would just go to bold condensed, and we'd take the integrity of the font and find a font that has that condensed version. Okay? So in other words, don't screw up your beautiful type the way it was designed. Hold the integrity to what it is. If you want condensed type, find a condensed font. Okay? Same thing with elongating, making type taller. If you want elongated tall type, then find a font that looks like that. Okay. Let's see. Different fonts. So for example, if you pick Helvetica 32 point here, which is a little less than 1/2 inch, notice that Mrs. Eves, which is a really elegant italic font, isn't as tall as Helvetica. Different typefaces have designed their fonts, even though they're considered the same point size, at a smaller scale. It's just what it is. You'll come to know your typefaces as you study them. And I think that's it for the moment. Any questions about that? I do recommend that you read these links, which is why I have these links for you on a website. Are there any questions about it, about anatomy? Just play with it.
Just a quick note about that type size.
Yeah.
A 14-point piece of type will be 14 points in all faces. But what happens is that the designer, within that 14 points, makes, say, his cap height shorter in one face than it is in another, so that they're all different. But it's still 14 point because the bounding box that goes around that letter is 14 points.
Did you guys all follow that? The bounding box being here. If I type this letter A, cut it out, view in preview mode, this is the bounding box of our letter. I don't know if Mrs. Eves, right here, let's come into that. That's the bounding box of our letter. If I put Mrs. Eves, I don't know that it exists here.
I think that might be the bounding box. That black.
It is. Yes, I agree with you. Let's pick Garamond. Garamond might. There. Did you see how the bounding box, what John was saying was this box around the type is the bounding box, and that's what he's talking about measuring. Okay. What I pulled up for you, which made that fun sound, is my favorite thing to play with type, which is a link here, again, on our website here, called Interactive Anatomy, and it's called Counterspace. And if you go to Anatomy, and you click on this character structure, it opens this and you get to play. So here's the tail of our Q, and here's our apex. We already learned that on the top of the A. And here's our ascender. So you can play with it. I just think it's fun. I like interactive things when I'm trying to learn stuff because I'm so visual. It's like I have to hear it, see it, and play with it. So that's under Counterspace. That's under interactive typography. Here is your assignment for next week. You might want to just do it because it's way fun. And this is an exercise. It's called, let me go backwards to the assignment. You got to go to the assignment page to upload this. But it's the Kerning game. And if we go to our assignments here and we go to exercise and we go down to Kerning type online, there's instructions here. It's an online tool where you kern the letters. You go to this site called KernMe. You move the letters and you're going to complete all 10 examples and take screenshots. Does everybody know how to take a screenshot, or does anybody want me to tell you? Show us. Okay. I will. I'll show you as I do it. You take screenshots of your best ones, and then you place, you take screenshots of your 3 best and your final score when you're all done. So you'll have 4 screenshots. They'll go on your computer desktop, and you're going to place those as graphics in an InDesign file and upload that as a PDF. Do you want me to show you? Does everybody know how to place graphics in InDesign now that I showed you the other day, or you want me to show you? If you need help, now's your time. Let me show you. Thank you, Diego. Thank you. I really wanted to show you. Okay, so I love this game. It's called KernMe. And what you really do is, they changed it actually. It used to have the word wave on it, which is why this thing, and you move this over. Oh, here's the wave. And you moved that letter over and tried to kern it as visually. So now I got to get serious. I got to put on my glasses. And my job here is to take this letter Y and the W stays in one place, the E stays in one place, and I get to move the A and the V into the perfect spacing where I think each one is kerned exactly as it should be. What do you guys think? Should I do anything different here? You think? All right, let's find out. Now I click compare, and I got 85% score. I should have moved the V over. So we go to the next one. This thing's really hard. I think the first time I did all 10, I got 65% total score. So you can move the Y, the descender Y, and the descender lowercase p, and decide what looks good. What do you guys think? Should I do anything different?
P more.
Put the P more left?
P.
Oh, I can't move the T.
Oh.
Can't move the E.
It helps to squint it.
What did I do? More? Was I good? Anybody else got an opinion? If I fail this, guys, it's all your fault.
P should be,
What?
P should go quick and E.
P should go left?
Yeah, that's good.
We happy?
Yeah,
What the heck?
100%.
All right. You ready, Jerry? You want to put money on it? Put your cash on the table. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that was pretty good. We did good. Okay, you see, I need your help, you guys. That was actually probably the best I ever did, okay? It's actually kind of fun. I find it fun, and why I like this is it really helps you train your eye to, John says, squint your eyes. I think it helps you train your eye to see the letter relationships. I think O's are challenging because there's an unusual kind of space in that negative space. Anything I should do differently here? Was that right? Was that a good move?
Yeah, should the L be that above the Y like that or over?
Should I move this somewhere? What do you,
Should it be over
I don't
the
know.
L or not?
We're going to find out. We're impatient. Oh, 91%. Okay, so what you would do to create a screen capture is you can simply hit Command-Shift-3, and it takes a snapshot of your whole screen. Or you go Command-Shift-4, and you get a crosshairs, and I can marquee what I want to save. And I'll go to my next, and let's see how I did. Okay, I got 1%, and I don't do this to me, you guys. I do not want to see 1% from you guys. I just want to take different screens. Okay, we'll do it really fast. We'll just kind of fake this one. We'll go, oh, okay, we're really smug now. We're easy. I don't want to torment you. All right, there we go. Poor, right? And so now, here we go. And then when you're done, so what you would do now, you've got your images, right? They're on your screen. You create a new InDesign document, Command-N for new. I don't need custom. I'm just going to go to the default letter size page. And you can create them all on one page. I'm not looking for anything breathtaking. I can create my document, and I can go here to File, Place, because I'm going to look for my screen captures I just made. And you'll notice that here's 4 screen captures on my desktop. And I held my Shift key down, which let me select all 4 at the same time. This is really fast. So they're not designed to torture you. They're designed to let you have fun with type in the tool, in the KernMe tool. But here you're documenting your work so it can get graded. And I selected all 4. I click Open. My cursor loads with 4 graphics. I click and drag 1, 2, 3. I don't know why my screen's doing this. And the last one, 4. And how lovely is that, right? We're all done. I go to File, Save As. This is my KernMe assignment. And I always put the date on things like this. This is what I'm used to. And I'm going to put it on top of my desktop here. Save it as my InDesign document. Export it right now as a PDF high quality. It's going to take my name, add the word PDF to the end of it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to click this to view after exporting. Have I already talked about exporting PDFs with you guys? Okay, then I'm going to slow it down a second. Okay, so I made a new document. Everybody follow me on this. This is important, not just for this exercise, but for all the work you do. And the reason why I can't remember what I showed you is I taught so many classes last week that I forget and I mix up my classes. So for all work that you do, you're going to work in InDesign unless otherwise. When you put a graphic in InDesign, you don't paste it, you place it. File, Place. The reason for that is you put the graphic in InDesign and it links it to the graphic on your computer. Is everybody following me? Who's this new for? Okay, you following me?
Yep.
Okay. And it's in video. We have a video for you, remember? Okay, just so you know. So you place it. So for example, right now, if I want to place a graphic, I go to File, Place, or Command-D, and I'll find my name card, my graphic I made the first day, and I click Open, and my cursor's going to load with it, right? And I click and I drag the size I want it. Tiny, I made it. If I hit Undo, Command-Z, and I just click, that placed it at 100% scale right now. You with me? All right. So it placed my graphic. I can go here I can take the corner of it, hold my shift key down. I don't know why my computer is doing this screen. Hold my shift key down, reduce the size of my box, which cropped my image, right? And hold my shift key down and reduce the size of my box more. And I can go to object fitting, and I can fit the content proportionally to my frame. So it made it small, right? And I can just move it over here. Now, what I want you to see is, I'm going to save my document. I named it already. When you complete any document in InDesign, I don't care what work it is. So particularly, I'm talking about not really even the kerning assignment, which is just a quick exercise. It should be, it should be 10 minutes of fun for you guys, to be honest, unless you get all hooked up on it and you go to Starbucks all day and kern the heck till you get 100%. I know. I was counting on you too, to be honest. And I so hope you do. Like, I think there's, all right, how's this? There's $20 on the table. Wait, how many students do I have? How much money have we got? It has to be worth your time. Okay, how's $10 on the table for the first 3 students to submit 100% final score? Is that good? That's like dinner, right? That's dinner? It's like the habit dinner, right? It's not like Bouchon or something, right? Okay, I'll do that. I'll step up to that. That's a big commitment because I don't think you guys can do it, to tell you the truth. So, what do you think? You gonna try? Yeah, you're gonna try. Okay. It's on recording. I am so in trouble. The school's gonna say, oh my God, she's paying students for grades. It's like when you were in elementary school and your parents would give you like a present for an A or something, right?
Just Photoshop it to say 100%.
Say what? What? I heard you, Nina. Okay. You guys couldn't do that. You wouldn't do that to me. What, John?
Screenshots are slightly different on Windows if they have a Windows machine.
Who has Windows? I don't speak window language. John does.
I think Windows only does the full screenshot. You can't do.
I think in Windows you hit print screen, correct?
Yeah, but you can also get an application that does basically the same thing you do.
Okay. I don't care how it gets here. You're documenting it like this. Okay.
Just Google Windows screenshot and you can find it.
The one I'll be super excited of is the final score, 100%. So the first one's to upload with the date and the time, 100%. Better let me know. I better go get $10 bills now. Okay. I'm digressing, I know. I do.
Give them Bitcoin.
Okay. So you place your graphics. So when you're doing your design brief, when you're doing your type specimen poster, when you're doing your brainstorming, place your graphics in InDesign. When you're done for the day, every time, save your document all throughout your work, then go to package it. Did I show you packaging before?
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to repeat it because it's new for everybody anyway. You go to File, Package, and what it does is it says to you, okay, let's see if you have all your images together. And it says, yeah, nothing's been changed and nothing's missing. What it's warning me of with this yellow warning sign is that we're using RGB color, which is not for printing. It's for computer display. Don't worry about that, okay? Don't worry about that. I'll tell you when you need to worry about that. So as long as nothing's missing or modified, you're good. You click Package, and then this is instructions if you want. Usually I ignore them. Sometimes I'll fill them out if I send a print file package to somebody. And then it takes the name of your file, it adds the word folder, and it makes a file folder for you wherever you want to put it. Okay, y'all following me? So I'll go to my desktop. I want my KernMe folder on my desktop. And then it says, what do you want me to put in that folder? Well, I want you to take all the fonts I used. So that, in this case, was really no fonts. It'll be one default font. All my link graphics, which will be those screen capture, screenshot. And then it includes what's called an IDML file, which stands for InDesign Markup Language. So if I give my package to Amanda, and Amanda has Adobe Creative Suite 2015, and I'm working in 2017, you won't be able to open my InDesign document. So you'll have to go to my InDesign markup language document. Does everybody get that? All right. And so there we go. I'm done. Now the other thing I can include is a PDF, but I want to show you how to do that more thoughtfully. And I package it, and it takes all my graphics, and I'm going to close this up. And let me save this and close this up.
Does it save it too?
Such a good question. Hang on one sec. It's a perfect question. So here's my KernMe folder. And here's my original KernMe document. And here's my original screen captures. You guys with me? There. So here's my original screen captures I took. Here's my original InDesign document I created. You with me? Here's my folder. I opened my folder and notice it made a new document, InDesign document for me. It saved a new one. Or saved exactly what I had. I don't want to say new. But it made a new one. It made that InDesign markup language document so an older version could open it. And then it took all my links, which were all those screenshots, and the render was that Victoria name thing I made. And it copied them and put them in a links folder. So now, and notice there's no font folder because I didn't type anything in that document. Remember that? All right. So in this folder, right here in this KernMe folder, I could trash all of this, drag it to the trash, clean up my desktop, and everything I need is right here and linked properly. So if I open my InDesign document, it doesn't say anything's a problem because it's all in that folder. And you need that because as you work on bigger projects throughout the semester, you're going to want to know that you have all your files in one place. Because if you put some art or graphic in something and you don't link it, and you take your file somewhere else or to a different computer or upload it to the cloud and you didn't package it, you're missing that one thing and it's going to screw you up. All right? The other thing is, when you wish to create a PDF out of your file, you can go to File, PDF Preset. I'm going to show you the basic way now. It's going to get more sophisticated in the semester, but all you need to worry about at the moment is Adobe PDF Preset, High Quality Print. And then I'm going to find my package folder, and I'm going to put my PDF in the folder. Make sure the extension PDF always shows up, just like InDesign, INDD should always show up. Like there's this button height extension, make sure that doesn't happen. See that? And then you save it, and then a window comes up and it says, okay, what do you want to do? Well, I want all my pages to be in a PDF. And this is my little favorite story about, now that we've talked about typewriters today and typing letters, love letters, how many of you have ever mailed a letter with a stamp on it and put it in a mailbox? It's pretty good. I've had classes where nobody raised their hand. So, okay, so those blue mailboxes, when you walk up to the mailbox, what do? You pull down the door, right? The ones on the corner. Tell me your name again. Holly. So you pull down the door, you put your letter in, the door closes. What do you do next?
Go.
Oh, I love you, Holly. Yes. So what I do is I click View PDF after exporting because it's like opening the mailbox to make sure it came out okay. So I click it, and then it launches Adobe Acrobat for me. Notice just launched it, no hands, right? Launched it, and here's my PDF, and now I can see that it looks okay. All right? So that's how you're going to do this assignment, upload your PDF, the KernMe, and all your exercises, same thing. Most of you are just showing me you did it. And, okay, and then you'd upload the PDF, but this is how you create your PDF and you package your work. Any questions on that?
I have a question. The PDF, when it was saved in the package, the PDF.
I put it in my
And then
folder.
and then it blows up on Acrobat, right? Like in the software?
It displayed on Acrobat because we checked
And
the
it
box.
saves automatically in Acrobat, or do you resave it?
Oh, it's a really good question.
Because
And it's,
what I'm leading to, just so you know, is when you attach it. I mean, this is what I did last semester. When you attach it, it's like, where are you pulling it from?
where are you getting it from?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, I guess, clarification.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad
for
you
me,
clarified it.
because that was confusing with me.
So, so what Susie asked is, so when we save our PDF file, where do you save it? When you export your PDF, high quality print, I can save it anywhere I want. I could put it on my desktop, not in my folder, but that would be disorganized.
Yes.
And then you wouldn't know where the heck it
Yes,
is.
so that's happened to me.
So that's why I package something first. I find my package folder. I'm going to give it a version 2 so you can see. So a new name. And I save it. And the only reason it opened for me is because I clicked the view PDF after exporting. We had one more question. Did that answer you?
This is actually relevant.
Okay.
When you package your file, you can also have it automatically make a PDF, and it sticks it right in the package.
Yes. And
But
the
you have to
reason.
be careful, because if you make a modification after that, you can mess it up.
So John's bringing up 2 things. One is if you package it and check the box that says add a PDF there, which means if you go to package, you say yes, you say save it, you do the instructions, you make a folder. I have to give it a second name because it won't copy over again, so I made version 2. You can click here, what John says, and include your PDF without ever playing mailbox with it. I play mailbox with it because I wanted you guys, one, to double check the PDF. The PDF in this case will not automatically open for you, which is why I don't do it that way.
But it's in the package for you.
But it
to-
will be
to
in the
find
package
to
for you.
attach to your assignment.
Absolutely it will.
Alright.
Yes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Secondly, I think Adobe is moving away from this packaging, because if you follow their workflow suggestions and use the cloud, you don't have to package. It just gets saved into the cloud. You can share it out to anybody that you want to that has the program.
John's right. I don't cloud it very much. I don't. This is my workflow since the beginning of time, since typewriters. And, but you're right, John. There is. Everything's cloud where it's all stored up there for you.
The thing that amazes me about it is I can come in here, sign in, and open a file that I've been working on at home, and it is exactly as I left it.
It is absolutely true and the way of the world.
It's
If I were-
exactly the way you left it, if you signed in when you made, because you have to sign in every time. So if you come in here and you use InDesign and you haven't signed in, and you make any changes, like say on the memory drive, it's only changed on that memory drive, not.
You're
unless
absolutely
you
right,
signed
Nina.
in.
Yes. And what John's suggesting is if you sign in, you're pulling it off the cloud when you work on it, and therefore it will save itself automatically on the cloud. Is what you're right, though. You understand that. Somebody else had a question, though. No? All right. Okay, so we've talked packaging. We've talked our cute kerning assignment. Let's see. Oh, I know what I did. I closed all my windows. Is that what I did? There we go. All right, so everybody understands the kerning assignment. There's another assignment. I jumped the gun because we were talking about kerning. I'm going to show you another assignment that is this week's assignment called Type Connection. And actually, my partner Brent came up with this, and I said, there's already a type dating game called Type Connection, because he says, wouldn't it be fun for you to make a video for your students of like 2 fonts that go out together? And I'm like, okay, yeah. So there's a game called Type Connection, and it's the same thing here. It's how the purpose of this one, I really like this. I know they sound silly, but why I really like this is when I design something, I design a headline usually that varies from body copy. So for example, if I want very readable type, I will use serif type. So if you look at a newspaper, serif type is designed, so let's come back to InDesign here. And what happened to this? There we go. Let's come up here. Serif type, this is sans serif type right here, is serif type is considered more readable because, oh, I think this might be, there we go. Serif type like Times, let's pick it, is considered more readable because the serifs, the tails on the type, carry your eye across the page, right? Because if you zoom in here, they create a guideline for you to move across the page. And we're familiar with them, so they're easy to scan and easy to read. So, so what I like to do is just like you're staring at now, I might use body copy that serif type, and I might partner it with sans serif type headlines and subheads, for example. So this exercise with the type connection is basically for you to start looking at type and deciding what two different typefaces partner well together. So here, you're going to play the game 3 times. You're going to take a screenshot of your first attempt, which tells you how well you did matching up your fonts. And you're going to take a total of 6 screen captures, right? And again, you'll put it in a PDF, and you'll upload the PDF for this one, okay? There's no money in this to you guys, sorry. All right, so, and it's fun. So you go to the type connection game, and it's a new screen for me. Type connection game. Strategies. I'm missing it. They've changed this page so it looks much noisier than it used to. What do we think? It's probably
This type connection.
this one? This one. Thank you.
Maybe.
Well, no, I think you're very right. Thank you. Thank you. So you play the game, and it's loads of fun. And it's funny. And why I like this genuinely is it gives you type history. So who has Adobe Garamond as their font? Nobody picked Adobe Garamond for your specimen poster? Oh my gosh, run out there and go get it. It's like the most beautiful font on the planet. So it tells you it's a serif font of the 16th century, and it describes it to you. It talks about the axis that it's designed on, and the thicks and the thins and the humanistic quality of it, and how the italics look and so forth. And you get the history of the font. Then when you move over here to century, it tells you that it's a more modern serif. It's a revivalist font, and you get the history. So I would love for you not just to do the exercise and, do it and be done and submit it. I'd really love for you to look at the fonts. I was such a type geek when I started becoming a graphic designer. Type used to not, I told you I did type, actually I haven't talked about this in this class before. I worked with type not on a computer when I first started working with type. And there were books of type. So I would literally, like looking through a magazine, turn the page, look at the type, I'd look at the shapes of the letters, and I'd start to fall in love with them. And I think that this Type Connection website is lovely for that, because in this little green square that's active, all of those are variations on the century typeface. Century italic, century bold italic, century condensed under the word I am, right? You can see it. I think these nuances are important for you to gather. So, for example, I would probably pick Archer, which is kind of good looking. And to find the match, do I want to get the family of fonts for Archer? Meaning, do I want the family of regular, bold, semi-bold, right, condensed? Do I want a similar font, or do I want something as the other? And I'm always deep into the other when I pair my fonts. And so here's Archer, the first one that's grayed out. What do I think will work well with it? Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll get super contrasty with it and decide. This one has too many busy serifs for it. I think it's too noisy to go with it. This one's big, old, square, clunky. And the Archer font it is a serif font, but it's got a kind of a grace to it. So maybe I will try Eurostyle, which is very square, and see what they say to me. And now I get to send them on a date. Don't you love this? And I'll send them on a date, and then they'll tell me how they got along. And what does it say? Congratulations, I made a good match. And it tells me why. And so I would take a screen capture of this and the two that I paired up. All right. So you'd have the two you paired up and their partners. Yes.
So the example, the pink page there.
Is what they look like paired. So
Yeah.
the subheads here. Yeah. Thank you for calling attention to this. So the subhead here, the big chunky thing, is Eurostyle. And that's what I was thinking. I'd use it for a chunky headline to offset, because I find that Archer is pretty graceful looking, clean, graceful, and a good contrast to the chunkiness. And that's how I like pairing my fonts. It's kind of an easy cop-out to go with the same type family, I think, personally. The other rule of thumb to be a type designer is that you should not use more than 2 font families when you design a piece. So you'll decide how many fonts you want in a family or not. Okay? So you guys understand this exercise, correct? And have fun with it. All right. Whew. A lot of talking. Did you have a question, John, or comment?
None
None that are relevant at this moment in time.
that come to mind.
Right, I saw you in the back of on the side. Okay. So where I'd like to go right here now is, let's see, it wasn't you, Sylvie, it was behind you. It was behind you. So, Holly. Yeah. Okay. So, Holly, you brought sketches. Okay. Are they on a computer or in a book? Okay. So, can you bring it up here, please? So what I'd like to do right now is help you guys work through your design briefs. This room doesn't have a, you don't have a digital yet, right? You have a cell phone?
Yeah.
No, I'll take it on mine because it'll be faster because I can access my computer. Have a seat because I'm tired of sitting. Stay up here with me. So what I'd like to do now for the last hour we have is we started putting together earlier your design brief. Does anybody have any question about how to attack this?
I just want to know if there's like guides on what to include exactly.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yes.
'Cause I kind of forgot.
You should never worry about forgetting, because if you click on the assignment, it will tell you everything here. And I'm very specific about this. Now, this is, for all of you, these design briefs, for many of you, these design briefs are new. This is the format and the workflow of the class, okay? So I'm getting you in the rhythm of the class. You can tell there's kind of a pace we're going now just to get you to this first project, which is very big. What I started at the beginning of the class, which I want to record on here, is I want all of you to do like Holly did, bring your sketchbooks to class. I want all of you to bring your work in progress, whether it's on the cloud, on a flash drive, loaded to Dropbox, if you email it to yourself. It doesn't, whatever it is, I want you to bring your work in progress to class, because we will use it as examples. So next week, what's required of you to have completed in your design brief and have it ready for upload. Actually, upload it here. I'm going to show you right here. Go to assignments. Go to the type specimen poster assignment and upload right here. If I view this, everybody knows how to upload. I don't need to show you. Upload here a PDF of your work in progress, your design brief. And in your design brief, you should be pretty far along. You should have a title page for your design brief. You should have a format. You should have specified the font. You should have your description written up for it, the history. You should have your inspiration that we talked about for it. If you can't remember this, then you're going to come back here to the page. You should have all of your inspiration here. You should talk about the political situation. You should describe the use of the font. You should have a Pinterest page, which we went over last time, or all of the design inspiration of specimen posters, right? This is review right now for everybody. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you should be at the point where Holly is, where you've drawn, what did I say? How many? 10. You should have 10 thumbnails drawn, thumbnails small, sketches. And what you can tell from the back of the room, I have to really compliment Holly here. What you can tell from the back of the room is even if you can't see this page, right, Amanda, even if you can't see the page, you could see dark and light. You could kind of get a feel for her layout, like some are sideways and some have a big line across, right? You could feel it. Okay, beautiful thumbnails. Okay, beautiful thumbnails. Then where you go from here, I don't know if you did it yet, you may not have, is you take your favorite 3, was it I said, and you make them larger, like fill up a whole page in your journal of one of them and get more detailed with proportions. And that should be done by next week. And next week, you should have started with your project on the computer because I think I'm going to have time to demo it for you. And all of that progress should be put in your design brief. You all with me on it? Okay. You with me? No, but you're going to watch this video again and listen again, right? Because it's a lot of words really fast for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
On the digital, it's of the 3 that you choose.
Yeah, on the digital, right, pick 3. So what I'm going to do, actually, let's see if this works like this. Find photo. I'm fearless. Do you have photo booth on the computer? You have a PC or a... Oh, you do. So you do this. We're gonna do an easy one. We're gonna do. So can you guys see them? They're backwards. I'm gonna pick this one. Right there. I need your help, Holly. You gotta stand up and hold your book like right here, or you gotta click the picture. Here we go. So nobody's ever at a loss for, so have you done InDesign before?
Yeah.
You have? Okay, this is good. Okay, so on our, so if I talk you through it, will you be my demo person? Sure. Okay. So let's look and see on the desktop if her picture got taken.
You need to share it from Photo Booth first. I think.
I do?
I think so.
Like
Or
go back to
YouTube.
Photo Booth and I'll be at the bottom and then I think you can drag it
Oh.
on the desktop.
Oh, then you do know Photo Booth.
Well, yeah. Long time since I've used it though.
Yeah, well, I did it because it was easier than emailing us a snapshot.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I just drag it?
Try by clicking. Yeah.
Sounds like it. Okay, so, and let's just fix this in Photoshop so everybody can see it better. And what we're going to do right now, since I think there's no questions on the design brief on how to build it, is that correct? All of you can refer back. Is that correct? I forgot your name. Danielle. No questions on like how to build your design brief? You're not, it's okay. And for you, I forgot your name. Jackie, you good? All right. Just want to make sure everybody has what they need. So I'm just going to drag right now this photo to the application in Photoshop. And let's just, I'm hitting Command L. I'm not teaching you guys Photoshop, so I'm hitting Command L, and I'm adjusting the levels in it just to brighten it up so we can see it better, and say OK. And then I'm just going to go to the crop tool, and I'm going to crop it so you guys can see it better. And hit return and save it as a JPEG on the desktop. Yeah, I gotta change my stuff. There we go. Thank you. I'm gonna make it huge, which is gonna make it all blurry, but you guys will be able to see it better. It's yours, right, Holly? Okay. There we go. So you can take you can scan your sketchbook for your thumbnails to bring them in. You could do the photo booth thing. Let's save this. There you go. You could do whatever it is to get your thumbnails into your design brief. What I appreciate with your design brief, which I'd like all of you to know, is write commentary with it. Meaning, make some notes that says, you know, you might make a caption box down here, this pink box, and you might fill it and say, what I like about this one is the repetitive letter O of the different thick and thin and weights of the fonts, and that's what appeals to me. And on this one, you might say, what I like about this is how the letters are rotated and they bleed off the edge of the page. Highlight what it is you're thinking. Think out loud and make captions for yourself. You'll appreciate having those thoughts as you look through your work. Okay, so caption it. The more thoughtful you are, the more dialogue you create about the work, the more I know you're assessing and critiquing thoughtfully your own work. Right here, we're going to go to the desktop. We'll open this and just set it over in the corner here. So this is what Holly has here, which is a great start. And I'm going to talk her through building her first, now that she's done her thumbnails, now that she's selected her favorite 3 to draw large, you all with me? With the details of where the typeface and so forth is, then you're going to start to build them in InDesign. And I want you to get started because there's no time like the present. So you come on over here, and we're going to set, you can sit in a chair because it's easier to relax. And I'm going to talk you through it in a second, but what I want to do is hit close for a second. So I want our workspace to be like this so everybody can see what you did here. Okay, and you obviously emulated one you saw, is that right? Because that looks a little familiar. Yeah. Okay, it looks familiar, which is just fine. Remember how I said that? If you don't know where to head, pick something that appeals to you. Okay, so the first thing that Holly's going to do is she's going to make a new document, and her document size is going to be 2 feet, 24 inches, by 3 feet tall, 36 inches. And so go slow with me. So stay on cue. Okay? Then she's going to turn off facing pages because her poster is going to be, so she turned off facing pages because her poster is going to be 1 page. And then what she's going to do is she's going to make margins down here. So she's going to scroll this scroll bar right here down on the right. Yeah, she's got it. And because your poster is like this big, your little default margin of 1/2 inch is just kind of laughable. So don't underestimate what your margins might be. You can always bleed past your margins, but I'd like to suggest that you create really big margins, like 2 or 3 inches, because you can, because you've got this huge poster. So what she does, because this chain link is selected, which means it you get to pick, I'm not telling you. Because it's going to constrain proportions. When she clicks in any other box, they're all going to say 2. See, they all say 2 because they're all the same because of that chain link. Now, all of you are going to design artwork that bleeds beyond the edge of the page. So when you trim it down, it's going to trim down where your art bleeds off the edge. You're not going to have this white border like all these other posters do, right? It'll print with a white border, but you're going to trim it. Y'all with me? So the way you do that is you build a bleed in, and an 1/8 of an inch bleed is standard, and it's perfectly fine, and that's just golden, it's good. And then you can ignore everything else and hit create. Okay, so now you're looking at a screen. Now here's the hard part on this project. You're looking at a screen that's this big, but your poster is really this big, right? So you're looking at a representation of it. So the first thing I would do to get my bearings is probably for kicks, I'd find Futura on the computer. I actually think that Futura will not enlarge that large in InDesign, truthfully. I don't think it'll be like 1,000 points tall. And that looks like Futura condensed, the way you drew it, truthfully. But we'll stick, let's see how many faces there are in Futura. Let's use the pull down menu in the character panel. Let's use this one. Oh, there is condensed. See, doesn't yours look more like condensed than it does medium? Which one do you want to use?
I was just gonna do regular.
Okay, so then pick regular. So Futura medium. Okay, I would select optical kerning. I would make it as big as I can for starters. So I just use the pull down menu here and just go to 72, still not very big. And create a text box and type the word Futura. And you set it in all lowercase letters, is what you do.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay. And so that's Futura. That's a distorted Futura letter, and one of the requirements of the assignment is that you do not distort any letter. Okay? So what you might have to do is make the F really big and the rest of the word not. So, but let's start just like this. And select, let's make the text box as wide as your page and see how big we can go. So notice what she's doing is she just grabbed the handle of the text box and she took it out to the margins, and now she's going to go to the type tool and highlight the word Futura, and she can go to the type size here, the character size, and you could type like 600. Try that. See what happens. Okay. Ooh, that was a good width, wasn't it? How'd I do that? I don't know. Don't ask me. Okay, so we're not going to do exactly your design now because that design won't meet the parameters of the assignment. You guys all understand that, right? All right. But that's kind of cool what you did. So she did cool stuff. So the first thing I would do at this moment in time before anything else happens is I save my document. I made it the right size. I got the right font going. So, and what I do is I probably type specimen poster or whatever. Future is fine. And I'd write today's date. I'd do that thing I do, 02/06/2018. Because when you work on it tomorrow, you'll know what your previous version was. Every time I open a document, a new day, a new time, I resave it under the new date. Because that way, if that one crashes, I got yesterday's. Plus my backup. Okay, and so good. Save, done. All right, and then now, here's the key. This is the focal point of your whole poster. Are you happy with how your type is kerned? This is going to be the art of it all.
I think so. I might bring it in just a little bit
Okay.
with the tracking.
All right. So just keep that in mind. Look at how the letter relationships sit. Think about it. It's your focal point. It's going to be critical. Now, if she goes to the black arrow, she can position this type wherever she wants on the page. What I would like to, go ahead, keep doing that where I'm just going to keep babbling while you move it around until you're happy, okay? All right. One of the things I would also do with your type specimen posters is set up a grid, because if you look at how Holly set up her design, it's got a grid to it. So let's come on this side while she's tinkering. So, okay, so I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that Holly, in her document, that's 2 feet wide by 3 feet tall. There you go. I'd probably set up a grid here where she's got her margin guidelines, and right now, if she goes to the page is active, she has nothing active on the page, no boxes are active. She goes to the selection tool, she goes up to layout, and she goes to margins and columns. And I would select 4 columns. So she creates a grid for herself to work with, which will create guidelines, which I think makes it easier for her to organize her page. That's what I think. It aligns things. And also in your grids and columns, the default, so I make that 4. And then the gutter is the space between your columns right here. So your type doesn't touch. If you made a type box here and here, that's called your gutter. And I make my gutters huge. So I make them like 0.3125. Yep, there you go. And even on this, you might choose to make it bigger. Yeah. There you go. You can always change it and say, okay. And the advantage of this now is she has guidelines. She has a grid guideline for how this is set up. Look, it's going margin to margin here. That's looking really kind of nice. She set herself up. And then you see she has a text box on her illustration that sits under the arm. Notice the anatomy tool, the arm of Futura. So what happens here is here's her Futura headline. What I'd probably do is make a text box this big under your Futura, and I fill it with placeholder text. And this placeholder text is probably your research history. So that placeholder text is supposed to be in body copy size. You all know what body copy is, yeah? It's like your content. And body copy size, this will trip you guys out because it's a 2-foot by 3-foot poster. Body copy size is like 9-point type or 10-point type on 16-point leading. Try it. So 9-point type or 11-point type's fine. 11-point type on, put it on 18-point leading. So she's doing that in her character panel, right? Just type the wrong, there's a parentheses or something weird in there maybe. There you go. Now fill it with placeholder text. And then because she's going to follow the grid, she's going to bring her text box to this line, this margin. You know, you can't see behind you, I'm not compared to you. And to that margin, right? Exactly. Now, check that out. She's now got her research history here, and what the heck is she going to do to fill up her poster, right? It's all negative space now. Because that's about what your text is going to show up as, which is kind of a surprise, right? Okay, then the next thing you're going to build is you decided that here is where you're going to put the alphabet lined up with this T. Right there. So what she's going to do is make in the new text box, just randomly, don't even turn it sideways, just randomly one wide thing. And she's going to type A, B, C, D, right? And she's just going to do her alphabet. And she's going to do them in uppercase letters and lowercase letters, right? And yeah, nothing like watching. You got to sing the song, right? Do we all have to do that, right? Okay, so that's beautiful. So now, hang on, don't do that yet. Okay, thank you. You are really good at this. Okay, so she's going to take this text box and she's going to hold her Option key down and just drag one below it. There you go. Then you got 3 going on. Yeah. And then she can take her type tool and select everything inside it. And rather than torture herself to get all her uppercase letters, she can go to type. And she can go to case. I'm sorry, change case. Down, no, up. There you go. Uppercase. Oh, phew. Now she doesn't have to do that again, right? And now she could take both of these boxes, select them at the same time by marking them or holding her shift key down either way. And she can go to this tool right up. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, up here. Up at the top, you see there's a reflect tool and then there's a rotate tool. You want to rotate. Yeah. You decide which way to rotate. There you go. And now she can drag one of them. Is it working? Okay. And she can place them how she wants to, which she wanted to align one of them with this T, and she gets to decide where it goes. And she's just going to tweak, right? And remember, because you're selling the font, oh, look at her. Okay, so don't do that spacebar business. You're going to so hate yourself for it later. Right, it's okay. But I'm not going to tell you how to tweak now. But you guys are getting the feel for this, right? So she's starting to build this. And the reason it's not so hard for her to build is, one, she knows InDesign really well, you can tell. And the other is because she has a guideline for herself to start playing with things, okay? And I'm not going to have you keep going. She'll add glyphs, right? Like ampersands or something like that. Wow, you did great. Let's go find a glyph. Go make a new type box, and let's just go find some glyph. There's we have to slow it down. She's way too fast for you guys.
Sorry.
So hit undo. No, don't hit undo. Just close that window. There you go. Okay, if you have a type box, type any letter randomly in there. Just a Futura. There. And notice the letter she typed turned out to be Minion by default. Did you guys all see that? If she highlights it, makes it active, and she goes to the eyedrop tool right above the magnifying glass, not the one with the ruler, but another one beside it. Come back to the eyedrop. No. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Go back,
like
hold
that.
it out. There you go. Go to the eyedrop tool. Beautiful. Now, if she eyedrops, let's say, any letter here. Oh, it picked up the character of it. It picked up the color, not the letter itself.
I think is it because it's not
Go to the
highlighted?
tool, and there you go. And eyedrop it. There you go. And now changed it to Futura. Did you follow that? So she didn't have to go select it again. Now she can highlight the letter A in her box, and she could go to type, glyphs, and a window will pop up, and she'll make that window huge for you. It's okay. Isn't it terrible to be the teacher, right? Here, pull that corner and just make big. Right. Okay, so now you can see these are all the glyphs that come with Futura, even the apple. Check that out. How fun is that, right? But you can use the copyright symbol. You can use anything you want. Maybe you decide that you want to put your paragraph in these pretty brackets, or maybe you decide, hang on, I have something in mind. That's what I have. Let's just pick the exclamation point. I know, but you see, that's where you get your glyphs. That's where you see your interesting characters. And now she can close the window for glyphs. And can you make that really big? Like make it 300 points or 600 points or whatever you want to make it. Okay, now I'm going to have you do something nice work. Okay, so that's a 600 point exclamation point. But I want this exclamation point to sit. Doesn't mean it's going to be good design, you guys, okay? But I want this exclamation point to punctuate the A, right? And I want it to go from here to the bottom of the page. So what you can do is you can go to your percentages up at the top, and you can incrementally just increase that. You could go forever and just sit on it. Just sit on it. Go as far as you can. Okay, let's see now what we get. You follow me? That's a way to size it. The other thing you can do is this, and I want everybody to follow this because this will matter for most of you. You can take your type in InDesign and you can convert it to what's called a vector graphic. Who does not know what the heck a vector graphic is? Okay. Vector graphic is what Illustrator does when you draw drawings. You get a little anchor point here and a little point here, and if you want them straight, you just go point to point. If you want it curvy, you'll drag a vector point and a Bezier curve, and you'll make your curve. Now, right now, if Holly takes this type, which you could change letters, it's type, and she goes up to the word type, to the menu, and she goes to create outlines. She now converted this to artwork. It is no longer a font. And if you go to the white arrow in your toolbox, this direct selection tool, you see this right here, all these little points? These are anchor points that form that circle. And the reason we turned it to artwork, the only reason we turned it to artwork at this moment, is it makes it proportionally scalable without any issues, right? So what I was thinking was I wanted this to scale from, actually let's make it scalable the full 3 feet in height and have it halfway off the page. So we are only, so what she has to do when she scales it now, hang on. She has to go to the selection tool, the black arrow, which selects the whole thing. She has to hold her shift key down and tug at the corner diagonally. Yep, there you go. And tug at the corner all the way up to the bleed. Yep. And now she can move it off the page so it's bleeding off the right. So we got like a semicircle over here. And it doesn't sit on top of the A. Keep going to the right. Bleed it more. And then if you want to see what that looks like, so save your document, Command S, save it. And then if you want to see what it looks like without all the guidelines, you could go to preview mode in the toolbox at the bottom of the toolbox and click off of it so you don't see that blue line anymore. And that's what her poster is starting to look like. It's kind of fun, right? The exclamation point's kind of fun. It's a glyph. We did not distort it. Kept the integrity of the glyph. It's so loud though, we might not want it, so she can highlight that glyph and maybe she takes it and she goes to the swatch panel after she's picked her color swatches and she decides she wants it to be yellow. And just that little hint of color maybe makes it fun, remember? So one of the things you're going to do when you do your larger thumbnails, your larger sketches of your 3 posters, is decide, try and add color to them and see if you want color or no color. Okay? So does that help you guys start to get the idea? Okay, then, now it bleeds off the edge of the page. Now she's going to save it. The things she's missing are the numbers, additional glyphs, and the date and the designer of the poster. That's what she's missing. And there's one more thing at the bottom of the poster, right here in 8-point type. She's going to put her name because she's the designer of the poster. Okay? So all of that is on the page, the website page, by the way. But don't forget it. So now she's going to save it. You did that. Now she's going to export it. File, Adobe PDF, high quality print, right? And she's not exporting it for printing. She's just going to export it for show for the moment, okay? And export it. And let's open our mailbox, right? And there we go. And hit Command 0 and it'll go to, there you go. So, sorry, Jerry. It already looks kind of cool already, right? And that's because, one, she sketched it so she had a guideline. Now she's probably going to say, oh, I really like how this looks, and yeah, I really like how that looks, and do I like the negative space, and what happens if I made Futura orange and use the color palette orange, black, and yellow? Or, you know, she can start to play with it. And how she would do that is in InDesign, she'd go back to InDesign. If she wants to change her, you can close that, just close it. And she could go back to InDesign and go to the page panel right now. And she could make that page active, which it is, it's blue. She can use the pull-out menu right there and duplicate it. Right. Now she can go to page 2, click on the yellow, and she could go to her swatch library and make it blue. And now she can go to the page panel again, and she can duplicate her page, and she can take that one, and she can go to the swatch library, and she, right? Now she has 3 posters she did. Nobody's trying to torment you. The idea is start looking at it and get a feel. Now you get to look. So save this and export it as PDF again. All pages. It's going to say, do you want to replace it? Say yeah, because I want all 3. And done. Okay, and you can make sure you got all 3 pages and close it up. Okay, so now close this. Sorry, I'm so in your way. And then let's close this because we've saved this document, right? And let's go to the InDesign document for the design brief. Let's try that one. No. Yeah. Thank you. And let's go down to the pages here. And let's copy this first page. Select all and go to copy. Just select the stuff on the page. Yeah, and copy it. And then let's go to this blank page. And let's go to edit, paste in place. Okay? Now type where it says type designer and research. Type over that and say mock-ups in progress, poster in progress. I don't know. You call it what you guys want. Okay? And then you write a lovely note here that says thoughts. I'm winging this, you guys. It's your design brief. You write what you want. And here you write, I was playing around with the different colors of this configuration, blah, 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 blah. Okay, beautiful. And perfect. And then she's going to delete all these with her selection tool. And then she's going to go to Command D. File place, and she's going to locate, now all of you pay attention to this one because this is going to matter. She's going to go to her PDF up there, don't click yet, and she's going to click on Show Import Options because it's going to allow her to grab all 3 pages of that PDF. Okay? Y'all with me? And you say Open, and it says, well, what do you want to do? And you say, oh, I want to place all of those 3 pages, and you say all. See the word all? Okay, you say okay. And now your cursor, when you move it over your page, is going to have a 3 on it. So I would personally just go margin to margin, margin to margin, margin to margin. No, just line them up. It's not going to look good up there. I don't know why this thing blanks out. Yeah, there you go. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Okay, so hit save. Now let's view it in preview mode, the bottom of the toolbox. Now you just get to, and actually let's highlight all these so they have a black outline so they don't look like they're floating in space. So notice she selected them all of them. She's going to go make her stroke active over here, and she's just going to select black, and there. There you go. So now look at how pretty your design brief is. It's clean, it's organized, it didn't take you forever, right? And that's your work in progress. That's your first one. Maybe you decide to do all 3 of your sketches. Not make them so perfect, but just get a feel so you know where you're headed, right? What do you think?
I have 2 questions. On fonts, whatever fonts everybody has, you know, you have condensed your bold, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, thank you for bringing
So
that up.
my first question is, do you do all of it? She chose medium for this example,
Right.
so the whole thing is in medium. And my second question is glyphs. There's as you saw,
Right.
there's a zillion glyphs.
Yeah.
So how many glyphs is enough? How many is not enough?
Such beautiful questions.
What's the protocol?
Thank you. You saved everybody's life by that question.
Okay, good.
So first off, don't use all the glyphs. Use the ones that make you happy. Just show that there's some glyphs.
A handful of them
Yeah, a handful of them. It's fine.
to incorporate somewhere in the design.
Yeah, or in
Or
the
just list
alphabet,
them in the
and
alphabet.
list them in the alphabet.
All right.
Okay, so the question was, if you didn't hear it back there, how many glyphs do you use? You can use them all, put them in the alphabet. Don't forget the numbers. Numbers are important. Numbers, upper, lowercase letters, and a handful of glyphs, or all the glyphs, up to you. And how you show them, up to you. Okay? The next question was, Holly picked Futura Medium, but there was Futura Medium Condensed and Bold and all that. What I forgot to mention, and I'm not sure if it's on your specification sheet, so hopefully I'll remember to put it in there. But don't forget it, please. What I would probably do is I would list in the name of the font. So Futura Medium, Futura Bold, Futura Bold Italic, Futura Condensed. And I type those words, the name of the font, and I would show them in that font look,
Representation.
right? But you don't need to do anything else besides list what they're available as and how they look in that font.
Are we allowed to use the different ones throughout the design though?
Such a good
Yeah,
question.
can you,
Are you allowed to
mix
use the
them up?
different ones in the design?
Use 2 or 3.
I think I did not constrain it at all. If you choose to use different fonts in your design, like let's say you made the exclamation point in extra bold, right? You might want to say at the bottom of the body copy paragraph, this body copy or this paragraph has been set in Futura Medium 11-point type on 18-point leading. And how you write that looks like a fraction. Looks like this. So you just write 11 point on 18 point. That's how you write it. And I'd only call that out for the body copy. So, because that's really what a specimen poster probably would do. But the fact that Holly's so fast on the computer and InDesign is, she's really adept at it. She made happen really fast what might take some of you, I recognize, a boatload of time. I do know that. Like, you haven't done InDesign before, right? So what she's like, whoosh, 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 it's not going to be whoosh, whoosh, whoosh for you. You're going to have to figure it out. Or you're going to put this little video in the corner. Have you done that yet? Yeah, put the little video in the corner and go, okay, what did she do now? And get there however you need to get there. All right? I know that for a lot of you, this is brand new. Xavier was like total rock star. He did the type specimen poster first time ever using InDesign. And it came out pretty awesome, right? It was awesome, right? And so you just got to be patient and kind to yourself about it. And you could see she didn't really do a lot here. She organized a grid. She created a variety of proportions of type, huge. What would it be expected in type specimen poster and body copy, and then used a grid layout as a guide. So, and she knew where she was headed with it, which was really helpful. Okay, so the parts, actually type this as I speak it, please, in a bold font. So copy that and stick it in that. wherever that paragraph went. Make it ground, it doesn't matter. There you go. Okay, so what you need to include is the designer's name. You need to include the date. You need to include the research body copy paragraph. And remember, it could be funny, it could be chatty. I had one student, you don't have to type all this. I had one student use a headline that said "See Spot Run" or "See Jane Run" or something like that. It was cute because her font was Century Schoolbook, what we use when we're in kindergarten and we read. Make sure that you have an 8-point type the name of you as the designer in the bottom corner. That's fine. Yeah, that's great. And then make sure that you list all the fonts in that typeface, all the fonts in that family. And at least some glyphs. And the alphabet and numbers. And upper and lowercase. I didn't say that very organized for you, but you'll make sense out of it for me. Okay. And the reason I'm having her type that on the screen is now we all know where to refer to it in our lecture. Did I miss anything else that goes in the poster? I don't think so. So are there any questions anybody has? That was really an amazing demo, thanks to Holly's support. Yes, Bo?
When is it due again?
Well, your progress is due next week. So next week, come with your design brief and see if you can get as far along as we are here.
Okay.
Sketches, mock-ups, digital mock-ups. And what I'd really like for everybody to come with next week is some posters printed out on 8.5 by 11 paper, one poster per 8.5 by 11 sheet. So if you only have one, that's okay. But print them on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. Design them 2 feet by 3 feet, but print them 8.5 by 11. So we're not going to be able to read the body copy because the body copy type will be microscopic on that. But we'll be able to see the layout kind of like you're looking at on the screen here. Okay? So next week, come to class with your digital mock-ups of some design layouts. Everybody with me on that? And come to class prepared with a PDF of your design brief because we'll critique your posters, which are in progress, and make recommendations. Look at how much progress you did by sitting up here today, right? Like, you can take this with you. The advantage of working in front of the classroom, right? And we'll also look at your design briefs and talk about how they're looking. You're going to, and don't forget that when you come to the bottom of the page, you know, I don't know whose I've ever picked. Oh, this is just one poster. We pulled that up last time. Why did I pull that up again? Let's go backwards. Let's see if we did 6. Did we do Dido last time? Okay. Let's download that. So here's a design brief. Again, here's an example. And so you start to develop a format for yourself, right? And inspiration, the usage of Dido, type specimen poster inspiration, thumbnail sketches like Holly had. Place them so you can keep your eye on him.
How much? We choose 3?
10.
Oh, 10?
10.
10 put on
10. 10 small ones. And then bigger roughs, right? We talked about that, bigger roughs. So your roughs start to get more specific.
What's bigger?
It's just a thumbnail that you like. You do it bigger with more detail, okay? 3 of those. You can play with them in color if you want. And then take your roughs and make them digital. The student was pretty elaborate, you can tell, right? But watch this one. I remember this one. Watch what they ended up doing with that one. They loved this one, which never thrilled me, but So they spent a lot of time. Look at how they evolve. Can you see how they all evolve? Don't forget you can change the tint. You can change the opacity of letters so you get color on color, which makes another color, which is really beautiful. Limited color palettes are really nice to have. Don't forget to capture the colors you work with. This is really a beautiful design brief. It's very professional. And the advantage of having, and then once you have the posters, notice that all you do is you change color and you have a whole new look, right? The advantage of having these beautiful design briefs is many things. They're not busy work for you. They are to help you organize your thoughts. They're to help document your work. They're to help you when you apply for a job as a designer to show people how you think. They show how you progress from a sketch to a completed product and how you go sketch to more refined sketch to digital, and then you refine the digital and refine the digital until you find what you're happy with. And then you end, I mean, and look at these variations. I mean, this student, I remember, over the top. And that's what she finally settled on. And the only thing that's missing from this, which I told you to include, would be if Dido had different weights, like bold or, okay.
Very many have the same.
Yeah,
There's
and I
only a
think
couple.
maybe two,
Yeah,
right.
if that.
if that. Does that help you all? Okay.
So like we need to design 3 poster or only 1?
You're really good at art. 3.
So we
Is InDesign new for you?
What?
Is InDesign new for you?
Yeah.
Yes. Do your best at what you can get accomplished by next week. Okay? How's that? Any questions from anybody else? So am I going to have to bring $30 next week? Maybe, right? I don't know if anybody's ever gotten 100%, which is why I kind of felt really smug and safe saying that. But I'll have $30 ready. I'll look, but you have to be the first one to upload it, right? So like if the whole class,
For each person, $30.
no, each person $10, if you get 100% on the kerning exercise. But I can't give it to all of you because that would be a lot of money. I'm looking around the room. That's a lot of money for me.
Did you say first 3?
So the first 3 people who upload with 100%, yeah, they'll be, and we'll know because there's a timestamp for it, so we'll know. So any questions about what should happen? Don't forget quizzes. I don't know if there's any due coming up. One tonight at midnight.
Yeah.
Okay, before midnight, 11:59.
Yeah.
Quizzes are okay. Nobody's struggling with those, right? They're easy.
I was just wondering because I missed the type specimen advertisement thing for this week.
Upload it. Upload.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is it still worth uploading? Is it still available on Canvas?
It's always going to be available on Canvas. Your quizzes are what slams shut,
Yeah.
but the other stuff, upload. The idea is that all of you, it's not about your grade. I mean, most of you care about your grade. So to be successful, it's the path to success. But it's really for you to start accumulating inspiration. Right? So yes, upload. Okay. Anybody got any other questions about anything else? So big applause for Holly. Thank you. That was great. She made my job really easy today. It was lovely. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in a week.
I have
I guess
a question.
Yes, sir.